In Season 1 of Raw Travel, we road trip through Central America, with one notable exception. We skipped El Salvador. Was it El Salvador's dangerous reputation? Perceived danger doesn't disqualify a Raw Travel visit. After all, we filmed in gritty Guatemala City, the hotbeds of Honduras, and the beleaguered Belize City, as well as Haiti and an active war zone in Ukraine. No, it wasn't endangerment. It was simple time constraints. I promised that I'd eventually visit El Salvador. So here I am, finally, a lot older and a little wiser, visiting what is now one of the safest countries in Latin America. But at what cost? Was democracy simply traded for security? During my travels, President Nayib Bukele's Iron Fist program resulted in El Salvador having the highest incarceration rates in the world. Many are imprisoned without due process and with little hope of fair trial or release. Bukele declares himself the world's coolest dictator, and he appears popular. But so do fascists and war criminals. If Bukele is organically popular, why does he use bot army-fueled troll farms to suppress criticism and enhance his image? Perhaps they're trolling me right now. So, is El Salvador safe? Is their president a dictator? Can a brief solo trip provide clarity? Regardless, I will explore the country's many charms, grab some Bitcoin, and cue the cyber trolls. It's time to fulfill a promise and check out the new, the real, and the raw reality of today's El Salvador. It's finally time for Raw Travel El Salvador. Travel. For some, it's a luxurious escape, or maybe an adrenaline-filled adventure. But if you're like me, it's a precious opportunity to discover and to give back. It's time to get real. It's time to get raw. It's time for Raw Travel. Like many visitors to El Salvador, when I arrived at the airport, I was quickly reminded of who runs the country. While my hotel was in the upscale Zona Rosa neighborhood of San Salvador, it was just a short taxi ride from the downtown area of El Centro, the center, where things get real quick. Perhaps no place more dramatically showcases El Salvador's transformation from danger to safety than El Centro. During my visit, families were out in droves. Construction was in progress, and I felt no hint of danger. Though El Salvador is relatively small and easy to get around, I would still have to make some difficult choices. I chose to visit the beaches first before going to the interior. El Tunco Beach is just an hour or so away from San Salvador. It's famous for surfing, but upon my arrival, it was torrents of rain and flooded streets. Extreme weather events caused by climate change afflict locals the most, and the rain at the beginning of my trip caused them unprecedented issues. Eventually, the sun appeared, and I found what the El Tunco hippie hype was all about. Like any gnarly surf town worth its salt water, El Tunco packs more than great surf-worthy waves. The little town is great for strolling around, and the sunsets and overall beach vibe did not disappoint. Friendly and healthy dogs, surf shops, and the healthy food options abound, including the famous El Salvadorian staple, a pupusa.
Finally got my pupusas. And guess what? These are vegetarian.
Vegetarian or not, these pupusas packed a punch. Now, I could have paid the bill in Bitcoin, but even me know that not real money. The beach in El Tunco is rocky, so I took a 20-minute walk on the highway to Playa El Mahahual for a more traditional beach excursion. The less touristy Playa El Mahahual is a great place to go for a run or learn to surf before taking on the gnarlier waves of El Tunco. Like others, El Salvador's coastal communities must deal with the plastic and garbage scourge exasperated by the flooding amid increasingly extreme weather. But as the sun set on my visit to the coast, I was reminded how a beautiful, serene, and relaxing beach can calm an active mind. Even a looming existential threat like climate change slipped from my thoughts, replaced by deep and still contentment. I love beaches, but El Salvador's real draw is its interior coffee regions, especially Ruta de las Flores, the Route of Flowers. This route winds through the vaunted coffee region's small towns. I rented a car in El Tunco and drove back through San Salvador to Santa Ana, which would be my home base for a few days. Santa Ana is El Salvador's second largest city and the region's coffee processing center. It's also travel-worthy, with beautiful churches and a lovely town square. But my favorite thing about Santa Ana was pupusas. I'll admit I was confused when a lady said I needed to eat her pupusa. I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, but we just met and I have a girlfriend." Then, slightly disappointed, I realized she was referring to the El Salvadorian national dish, pupusas. The pupusa is a thick tortilla stuffed with meat, vegetables, and cheese and grilled over high heat. This particular pupusa spot in Santa Ana is legendary. I'm not sure how healthy it is, but I chose the corn flour and indulged while keeping my vegetarian ways intact with a mushroom and cheese version. Eating pupusa in El Salvador is worth the hype. They are now officially my second favorite thing to eat, beginning with the letter P. My favorite is pancakes, of course. Wait, what were you thinking? Santa Ana is an excellent starting point for exploring the Ruta de las Flores and visiting several nearby colonial towns, all of which are within a convenient day's drive.
I rented a car so I could get on the Ruta de las Flores, or at least sample it. Basically what the route is just a road through a lot of little mountain towns and villages in El Salvador. And each of them is very beautiful. There's quite a few towns along the route that you can stop off in. Right now I'm in Apaneca, but it's a quaint little town, sleepy little town. I asked somebody for directions, some kids, and they started giggling. So I don't think they get a ton of tourists here, but it's very well maintained. Check out this garden.
The towns along the route are small and tranquil, and Apaneca is no exception.
Beautiful church. So I'm just going to stroll around town a little bit and then move on to the next one. But this is slow travel. This is what I like to do, is just get in the car and just go. The driving was easy. It wasn't dangerous. It didn't feel dodgy at all. So I highly recommend it.
Though there were few tourists on my weekday trip through town, I could tell the people took pride in welcoming visitors. The folks were friendly, the food was good, and the air?
The air feels so fresh up here. You can tell it's high altitude. It feels really good. I love it.
Along the route are stop-offs with postcard-worthy views, so make sure to build in some extra time. Of course, I would have taken better photos, but the prime real estate was occupied by an extraordinarily lazy local whom I did not wish to disturb.
I'm in a taco, A-T-A-C-O. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but I thought I would get a taco, but I just had lunch. So I think I'm gonna get a coffee instead.
Perhaps eating a taco in a taco is too on the nose, even for RawTravel.
The Ruta de las Flores is, after all, a coffee route. And El Salvador is famous for its coffee. Beautiful little town. Very beautiful.
I'm a caffeine fiend from way back. I don't need an excuse to sample a cup. Don't mind if I do. Fully caffeinated, I was off to the lovely, confusingly pronounced town of Wayua.
So this is Wayua, and it's not pronounced how it looks, guys. It's not Juwaya, it's Wayua. And I remembered it because I was like, Wayua here. You're here because you're on the Route of Flowers, Ruta de las Flores, and this is part of the Route of Flowers, and this is the famous church.
tricky to spell but easy to love. Wayua's town square was nearly pastoral, and one could sense tradition blending with modernity in all the right ways. On my return to Santa Ana, I stopped in Naranjos to visit the 1961 Los Naranjos Bar and Cafe. No, not for an orange, fellow Spanish language hacks, but for a local beer. And now that I was hungry again, finally some tacos. 1961 Naranjos is named after the elevation of Cerro Los Naranjos, which is 1,961 meters. Since it was a weekday afternoon, I had the place to myself. However, the owner was a real teddy bear and welcomed me back anytime. It was time to wind up my first visit to El Salvador. I was due to fly on an overnight red-eye back to New York City, so I had a whole afternoon to kill. What should I do? Someone suggested I try Playa Costa del Sol, a relaxed beach near San Salvador's airport. Now, I'm not usually a fan of all-inclusive resorts. I find them somewhat limiting. But even I, Mr. RawTraveler, sometimes like to be spoiled now and again. So why not? I've been a good boy. Mostly. I opted for an inexpensive day pass at a bougie-esque all-inclusive resort.
So my flight doesn't leave until later tonight, almost midnight actually. So I had a whole day really to do whatever I wanted. So I decided to do a different beach. So I'm at Playa Costa del Sol. It's pretty close to the airport. It's a very different beach than El Tunco. As you can see, it's got a lot of sand. And the sand is pretty hot actually, and the sun is baking. But I was able to get a day pass. And it's kind of bougie, but it's got the all-inclusive vibe to it. And basically, my recommendation is if you've got a day to kill, this is something you can do. You don't have to do the all-inclusive. You can go to a smaller place called a rancho, which is like a private house. And you can do a day pass there. And you get a more traditional beach feel on this side. And if this is your speed, El Tunco is my speed, but if this is your speed, El Salvador has a place for that as well.
Day passes are a good value, as they usually include food, drink, pool, and beach access.
The other thing about day passes is a lot of times they include, a portion of that includes food and beverage. So it's not quite as expensive as one might think when you hear the price. And you just get to hang out and use their facilities. Doesn't include a room though.
Although this delicious mango flower was not included, this vibe beats hanging out in an airport lounge any day. Yep, I could get used to this.
I finally made it to El Salvador, and it was everything I was told it was going to be, and then some. You can see why people were raving and begging me to just come check it out. And I'm so happy that I finally made this happen. You've got beaches like this. Of course, you've got surf beaches. You've got the coffee, Ruta de las Flores, which I took. And I didn't get to see the volcano or any of the lakes, the volcano lakes, but I hope to do that next time. Can't cram it all in. Even a smaller country like El Salvador, it takes time. I like to do slow travel. But that's where I'm really happy I rented a car. I found it getting around really easy here. If you're used to driving internationally, which I kind of am, I had zero problems. So I'm really happy I came. I'm sorry it took so long, El Salvador, but hopefully I can come back and make up for lost time.
El Salvador. It felt good to fulfill this promise to myself and others, finally. And what about safety? I never felt a hint of threat or danger while visiting. And in the tiny sample of people I spoke to off camera, most seemed pleased with President Bukele's iron fist approach to crime. Perhaps that's because none seemed to have experienced iron fist's dark side firsthand, or had a loved one or neighbor locked up without due process. As a first-time visitor, I only saw the benefits. But would visiting the less affluent areas of El Salvador, where Iron Fist was primarily implemented, give me a different perspective? I want to return and explore further to help answer some of these questions, but therein lies the test. Will Bukele's government allow free speech and open criticism from without and within? Or will he, like others of his ilk, gravitate towards autocratic control, intimidation, and attempts to silence journalists and critics? I hope not, but time will tell. In the meantime, muchas gracias to the welcoming people of El Salvador. I'm so happy we finally met, and I wish your country nothing but peace, prosperity, and most of all, freedom.
Promise fulfilled.